I just interviewed Akademiks. The two of them are still going at it. He said that Meek Mill is the dumbest rapper. He said he thinks 2 + 2 is 22. And look, at the end of the day, when it comes to the arts, entertainment, a person could be a great artist, a great rapper, singer, producer, and not be very smart, not be very nice, not be very kind, not be very, in touch with their emotions or empathetic. They're just a good rapper. That's it. That's all you know about them.
Yeah.
Once you get to know more about them, people try to put, oh, well, he's a good rapper. That must mean that he's really intelligent also. No, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah, it felt like for a while, like Meek had the whole like Roc Nation stimulus package of them trying to like push him as this like real community activist, like prison reform fucking guy. And I feel like hip hop has a problem where a lot of people get the they get the acknowledgement of them as if they were like some really smart guy undeservedly. Like there's a handful of other people that I won't name that I could think of that I'm just like, this guy has the reputation of being like fairly brilliant and I'm just not buying it. And it feels like collectively hip hop has kind of come to their senses with Meek Mill over the past couple months.
Yeah, I mean, Meek Mill didn't go to college. I don't know how well he did in high school. I wouldn't assume that he was a straight A student.
But there's a lot of people who have like almost no schooling that still you or I would regard them as being very, very smart.
Jay-Z.
But at least
I've been around Jay-Z. Jay-Z's very sharp. He's very smart.
But like Meek
Mill, not everyone, but some people just don't apply themselves in a certain direction. I think if Jay-Z actually went to college and he could have gotten a master's or a PhD or whatever else, he's just a very smart guy. You can't memorize stuff the way he does being dumb. But
here's the thing. If Jay-Z tweeted like Meek Mill tweets,
i.e.
wakes up in the morning, rolls over and just says whatever the fuck he wants to say, doesn't spell check it, doesn't check it for grammar, doesn't like do almost anything to make it coherent or make sense. I mean, the fact that Jay-Z doesn't do that is a sign that he knows his strengths. He knows that he's a great businessman, he's a great rapper, he does a lot to, contain his mystique. Meek Mill is just out here living life, which you got to give it to him. It seems like he's having a great time on Twitter. But as far as his brand, like, is there really nobody around him that can say, don't just wake up and tweet whatever the fuck rolls out of into your head? And I think about this with Meek too, so there's this dude Quilly from Philadelphia who does not get along with Meek. They had, some relationships in terms of music and stuff over the years, but Meek ultimately like pissed him off and created an enemy. Mm-hmm. Quilly goes, he does Akademiks, does a podcast with him, does very well. He comes right after that, does the Adam22 show, does very well. Goes right after that, does Say Cheese. Wouldn't be shocked if he ends up on this platform at some point. I say all that to say, Meek Mill could have easily formed a relationship, business, or just friendship or whatever with me, you, Akademiks, and Sean Cotton. Mm-hmm. And we would have all at least had a bit of trepidation when it came to doing an interview with the Quilly guy. If Meek Mill had been cool to you and I and Ak over the years, we probably wouldn't be lining up to do an interview with somebody who hates you.
Yeah, well, I don't have any interviews planned with Quilly. They had reached out. I was just like, I don't have a relationship with Meek. I also don't have any animosity towards him. So I'm not just going to bring in someone whose main role is to bash someone I don't have a problem with.
Right.
Even if I do have a problem with him, I don't really do those types of interviews. Mm-hmm. Every so often, I might, get a little petty here and there. But in general, Meek, we've been in the same room, but they've separated us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they didn't know. And I remember hearing him say, oh, is that Vlad back there? Oh, tell him what's up, on his way out. I think we were both at Breakfast Club together. They just, he was doing Breakfast Club and I was too. And they kind of were like, they weren't sure what was going to happen. So they just kind of put us in a separate room. But I heard him say, oh, Vlad's back there? Okay. I've heard him mention me, but I don't have any relationship with him. We've never actually spoken, whatever else. But you're right. Like, it would behoove a lot of these artists to just form some level of relationship. Okay, cool. Like, I'll do an interview with you every few years. Yeah. Just to kind of keep the ball rolling. French Montana just did an interview with me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, he understands, it's good to have Vlad on your side as opposed to have Vlad as an enemy.
That's one thing you always taught me is like, you went out of your way when I reached out to you to be like, I'm going to hang out with you, give you some game, do an interview with you, build a little bit of a reputation. It's just like way better to do that with somebody who's, your peer or seems like they're making moves in the space that you're in. So that's why it's like unthinkable to me that somebody like Meek Mill would not really be conscious of that. You know, like he has a relationship with Gilly and Wallow, I think, but
does he?
I think he does podcasts with them from time to time,
okay.
maybe. But like, you know, he could easily do way more to have good relationships with people in the media, because all those same people in the media who he never did anything for are now happy to, you know, have conversations about how he's basically making himself look gay.
Yeah, well, I think like with certain artists, they have to be on the way down to start forming these relationships. When they're at the top and they never have to do interviews, so they don't. You know, life catches up. A lot of times, us as, you know, media outlets, we have a much longer career than the average rapper or singer or producer, right? That's just life. I didn't plan it this way, but that's just what happened.
You can do interviews for 20, 30 years. And
yeah, I can do interviews into my 70s and 80s. A rapper, not so much.
Right.
So, yeah, man, listen. Meek, if you ever want to hit me up, I'm not hard to reach. You know, I'd love to have you on my platform. I respect you as an artist. I've never really taken any shots at you.
Yeah, I don't have anything against him either. I reached out because there was like a clip. I interviewed Lil Reese, and Lil Reese mentioned something about how Meek Mill kept it so real with him and had him come out and stay at his crib for a period of time and just, you know, showing respect to him. And I noticed that Meek reposted it to his story from some random fan page that clipped it from my interview. And I messaged him and I was like, we should do an interview or like whatever, showing love to him. No response. So like even me having Quilly on, it's like I was trying to defend Meek against Quilly, which is obviously kind of difficult because I'm not from Philly and I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about with half this shit. So I don't know. I mean, I just feel like Meek Mill has seriously misplayed a lot of his cards over the years as a rapper. And it's like now, as his career is clearly kind of on a decline, all these mistakes are really being magnified, and the ramifications of some of the bad moves that he's made are just a lot more visible than he probably ever really planned on them being.